Just out in my garden after our podcast together, and to say the least, Tyler is an incredible human being. And I think for everybody that's interested in the agency space and who's also a deep personality and is interested into spirituality on a really deep level, is going to love the podcast. It combines both worlds. At the beginning, we talk about Tyler, his kind of rise, his journey, and also just about non-duality and spirituality. And also around before the end, I talk about my current situation with Tyler and ask him kind of for his advice, what he's thinking about it. And this kind of expands in us talking about a program, possibly agency birth, and that Tyler wanted to start, and that combines both worlds of non-duality and the agency kind of model together, to not just have a course-based business that's a template, but to truly get people to be able to build the agency from zero to, let's say, 10K MRR. And yeah, that's, and we thought about the idea to, but be surprised about it, how that's going to turn out in a very interesting way that I've never seen before, and that feels the best. This is something that I wish I had. No, but I can't say it because I'm grateful that it's happening maybe now. So without further ado,
I'll just open up on a little bit of my background and who I am and what I am. I was originally born and raised in Edmonton, Alberta. I grew up in a very regular life. My parents are middle class, and when I started the whole agency journey, which happened when I was about 18 or 19 years old. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Ty Lopez or Sam Ovens or any of these typical, very well known make money online gurus that showed up on YouTube ads profusely throughout everybody's phones for throughout the years of 2014 to 2018. I was hit by that wave of make money online, and it was something that touched my soul because I felt going through the education system that there was sort of a broken link in it. I didn't learn anything about business. I learned nothing about how to pay taxes. I didn't learn anything about emotional intelligence. I felt like this was not the institution that I wanted to put the future of my life in their hands, basically. And so I naturally had no other place to go. It's sort of people talk about entrepreneurship as this untreaded path where you don't really know where you're going, or they have these funny quotes like it's like jumping off a cliff and then you build the plane on the way down. And I don't necessarily believe that that's fully true in how it is. I felt that I knew in the back of my mind that what I wanted was freedom, and the people that had freedom were the ones who typically had a lot of money. And I knew that money wasn't like the key to happiness, but I knew that freedom was the key to happiness and that money was a huge element involved in that. So I just dove headfirst into I'm going to try to make as much money as possible, as quickly as possible. And starting an advertising agency was one of the million ventures that I tried in my teenage years of life, and it happened to stick. And the first client I had was $4,000 a month US, and within 3 months, I was making around 10,000 a month. And keep in mind, agencies, for people who don't fully know, it's all profit margin until you hire people. There's no expenses. It's very minimal. So my margins were like 95%. And I remember just rolling in dough and thinking, oh my God, this is insanity. I can't believe that there's such an opportunity to make all of this money. And I'm 19. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm a beginner at all this, and I was getting paid to learn. So that evolved into a multi-million dollar agency with 20 plus people that I recently exited. And I'm very, very, very grateful. Blessed be, thank the Lord, that I have been able to make a significant amount of income to where I don't need to worry about income ever again in my life. And you could say that I'm sort of off the hamster wheel of trying to feel like you need to get enough to get out of it. And now I'm pursuing a nonprofit that is purely devoted to helping bring mankind back to inner peace. So that's just a brief intro on the history of my life. I tried to gloss over it very quickly.
wow, incredible. And what was it exactly that as you evolved along, because I saw, for example, some of those kind of vlogs you made. I really liked them. I was like, man, this is so authentic. You record like 30 minutes of yourself where you were just going on what's happening in your agency life. I think it was a couple years ago. And what kind of sparked now this deep sense of inner peace, inner freedom? How did that come?
Well, I think plant medicine had a big part in helping me realize that there's more to life than just financial freedom. And it's an interesting thing because I feel for anyone who's ever done plant medicine, you sort of get to go and you get a glimpse through the keyhole of God, and you sort of look through this door and you see the divinity and the O Lord and God and oneness and the universe, whatever term you want to use, is the essence of this domain that we're in, and that it's entirely perfect, and that there is no separation between you and someone else or you and anything else. There is only just this one infinite creation that is rippling through the universe at ridiculous speeds. And somehow we're all mystically a part of it. And so that was something that really opened my eyes up to, whoa, this feels like something that I actually want to devote all my energy to, because I feel that there's no greater realization than to realize your own divinity in this life. I feel that if you have come down to earth and you've lived this life and you haven't realized your peace, your own peace as the one infinite whole, you sort of missed out on the entire life, the beauty of what this whole thing is about. It's to come here and realize that you're one with everybody and that you can dance along with everybody and have fun with everybody. Um, so getting to sort of look through that keyhole and see the oneness and feel it fully in my body for even just a few hours was enough to radically change my path. I knew immediately on that first plant medicine journey that I was leaving the company. It just happens immediately. I had a conversation with my business partner in sort of a telepathic way where I told her, I was like, I love you so much, but this is it. I'm gonna go and pursue something else. And it took about 6 to 9 months of me figuring out what leaving actually meant, because it's a very difficult thing to do, to leave a company that you've built from the ground up and you've devoted almost 10 years of your life to. When people say it's kind of like a baby, I feel that that's very true. And there was a sort of grieving process. I was bawling my eyes out, crying on the airplane, crying at home. I mean, I cried a lot trying to just stomach the idea that I was letting go of all my equity in this company, or the vast majority of it, anyways. Did that answer the question? I forgot what the
Wow.
original question.
Yeah, yeah. And and so and what so you immediately knew from your first plant medicine. May I ask what you did you use ayahuasca or?
So actually the very first thing I started with was microdosing on mushrooms. I
Mhm.
was so uncomfortable, first of all. I grew up in a family where my parents said, don't do drugs, don't do alcohol. And if you watched my earlier videos on YouTube, I always told people, I said, don't do it. It's a waste of energy, blah, 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 blah. Well, I was a little bit naive and my programming got the best of me. And I started sort of sharing my programming that I received as a child with other people. But microdosing with mushrooms gave me sort of the confidence to feel comfortable with even considering the idea of ingesting something that's psychoactive in the body. And there's a huge fear that came with it, particularly the fear of changing. Um, when you have a strong identity or a strong ego, which I did, not in the sense that I was very like low in humility or not humble, but there was an identity I had, which was this identity of being a business owner and having an agency and being intelligent, rational, and whatever. I didn't want to lose that. And I felt that if I did this plant medicine stuff, it was going to change my path so radically, and that change was going to be something I didn't like. And so that was the fear with going into it. But no, the first experience I had that truly revolutionized my being and my way of life was MDMA. And then the second thing was mushrooms. So for those of you, for anybody who doesn't know, the first substance is a heart medicine that is incredibly powerful when used in a proper environment with proper music and proper intention and all of that. And the second one is also something that just grows out of cow shit on the grass. When you walk through a valley, you'll see them growing out of poop, giant pies.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. How did you develop kind of then the courage also to go through it? Also, it was like you knew it. You just knew it.
No, not at all. I started dating Claudia, who's my partner right now, and she had an experience with MDMA without me. And we were dating very early in the dating stages. And I knew that it had changed her in a way that made me feel really uncomfortable because I felt that she was going to want me to do it. So I went down the rabbit hole very deep and I started doing all the possible research that I could do. I mean, as a rational being, I think that all that you really need to look at is data. And so I found the data, and I found the data particularly on mushrooms, on LSD, on MDMA. I found out that there have been countless studies, clinical research by people before these substances were banned by I don't know if it's the FDA or whatever it is in America that bans certain substances. But there was hundreds of thousands of cases, difficult to find, but there was these cases and they showed the benefits of these substances. And that gave me the faith and the courage to be able to push forward.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's crazy what we kind of have been told about these kind of things. I was growing them at home.
Yeah, no way.
And then my mom threw them all away. I had them all sorted, everything. No, but it was like it's just freeing if you have no experience with meditation or some kind of things before, or it's like I don't know, it's shows you a lot. Um, and what happened? And after you had that, you slowly exited then from the agency.
Yeah,
And how did you? But how did you have the courage to live that? Like how do you really kind of yeah,
the courage to leave the agency.
to live your the new self that you became?
Um, I don't know, man. It just unfolded naturally. I just felt in my heart that everything shifted. And I think it was just a natural byproduct of the medicine itself, you know? And that it didn't, oh, sorry, that was the puppy dog. It didn't feel like, oh, wow, I've gotten a glimpse of God and now I'm struggling to shift into that glimpse that I got. It felt like, holy shit, I got the glimpse of God and I'll never be the same. And I'm so happy for it. And it
Mhm.
was sort of just a natural, instantaneous shift. If you talk to Claudia about it, and there's people in Playa Vinao is the place where I have a home and lived during this transformation. It's this small beach town about 6 hours away from any major airport. It's an incredible place and it's a very spiritual place. And it completely shifted me. But this is where the transformation occurred. And there's many people who saw me go through this and they couldn't believe their eyes. There's so many people who just said, I've never seen someone shift as fast as you shifted. And that was always cool to hear because I don't know. I guess I haven't seen anyone else shift like this also, but there are people out there. And I think it happens naturally. I don't feel that it requires fighting for it to happen.
Yeah. And and how so many people, I mean, I think the goal when you experience it once, right, is to kind of be able to experience it continuously, right? And then you're like you I don't know, I remember once um me and a friend we did mushrooms together, high dosage, and then
Yeah,
we were just then laying on the streets on the streets and in the grass. We live in a small town, so it was totally fine at night. And you're like, you just won. You just won with everything. And you're like, and then the next day you're sometimes you lose this whole sense of it, right?
yeah.
How was it with you?
Um, well, yes, you sort of peak out, you peak and then you come down. I found that when I came down to a foundation that was infinitely higher than wherever I was before. If you're familiar with, are you familiar with the map of consciousness?
No, no, I don't think so. You mean these different stages, and the top is enlightenment, and it is colors, right?
The scale, yeah. So the scale or the map of consciousness was created by Dr. David R. Hawkins, and it's a really beautiful scale that basically goes through all the different emotions and the life view of an individual in any given time. And so I found that my level of consciousness in that plant medicine experience went to a ridiculous high, a high that I had never subjectively known before. And then it plummeted, but it plummeted to a foundation that was much higher. And I don't feel I disagree with what you're saying as if it's the goal to fully be there all the time. I feel that in the beginning, that's what I wanted. I was like, wow, this is it. That's where I want to be all the time, right? And then I came to this awareness that I'm meant to be wherever the Lord wants me to be. So if God wants me to function and be a highly functional being and build a nonprofit to raise awareness to whatever needs to be risen awareness of, I'll accept that I'm highly functional. Right now, I am in a far lower level of consciousness than I was during maybe the last year and a half. And I know that it's because I prayed that I would be able to be more functional because in high levels of consciousness where you're kind of rolling around in a natural sensational bliss, you can't really function that well. It's around the 550 plus range. So on the scale of consciousness, 540 is unconditional love. If you go up further to like 570, you get into the levels of bliss. This is natural bliss. It's sort of a natural MDMA. I went through this natural MDMA phase for about 3 months and I could not function for the life of me. And what I mean by that is it's difficult to go to sleep because you have so much energy coursing through your veins. It's sort of a similar thing if you're going through a mushroom journey. I mean, you're not tired when you're in the peak of it. You're like blissed out in some infinite space and it's incredible and you're almost in awe of everything that you're seeing and experiencing. And so I was in the natural state like that for an extended period of time for 3 months, and it was very difficult to sit down. I couldn't sit down at a laptop for more than like 10 minutes. So I was actually really concerned because I was like forgetting to pay my mortgage, my bills, my electricity bill. And I went to my law firm before I left Panama. This is like I was praying to God that I could function again because I wanted to start this nonprofit thing, and I found it impossible for me to do it while in this state. And I went to my lawyer and I said I need to put everything into Claudia's name, my partner, in case I die because wow, I don't know, man. I don't know where I'm gonna be. I don't know if I'm gonna be alive. And part of that fear, not fear, but part of that caution was because Hawkins has said, and if you're not familiar with Hawkins' work, he's incredible, and he was a very high calibrating being, and he's the only person on planet Earth that has found a scientific method for discerning truth from falsehood through applied kinesiology. Are you familiar with applied kinesiology?
No, not yet.
So applied kinesiology is the practice of muscle testing. If you hold your arm out like this and I push down on your wrist, there's some muscles in your arm that you are holding it in place and you would resist me pushing down on it. If I ask a question or if I hold the question in my mind while I push down on your arm and your arm goes weak, that means false. If it stays strong, that means positive. This sounds absurd, but what it is it's something that was proved and originally founded by Dr. John Diamond in the 1940s or the 1950s. There's tons of doctors around the US that use this method, the method of applied kinesiology, to determine what you're allergic to. So they'll hold certain substances against your solar plexus. So they'll hold whatever it is, the typical things that people are allergic to. And then they'll just push down on your arm to double check if your body is allergic to it or whatever it is. Well, um, Hawkins was a doctor. He was an incredible doctor. And when he discovered applied kinesiology, he realized he saw it through the infinite lens of what it actually was. It was a tool for discerning truth versus falsehood. A lot of other doctors saw it as a tool for understanding the body and what the body is, allergic to. It was a sort of a mechanism for diagnosing what could be wrong with a patient that was incredibly accurate and very free and easy, and anyone could do it. So he saw it through the lens of this is the compass of truth, and he would ask anything, and he would use Susan, who was his wife's arm, to be able to calibrate these things. And so I forget where I was going with this original thread. Um, what were we talking about?
And we're talking, I think, about the bliss you had. I think about because we talked at the beginning, we were like how the I've used you said you disagree with
Oh,
me that
right.
cooking is
Yeah,
bliss.
I was going on a big thread. Hawkins has stated in his work that when you cross over the level of 600, which is sort of the gateway to enlightenment, a state where your third eye opens and you're sort of no longer an NPC, you could say, in the Matrix, and you're actually fully awoken, sort of a Buddhahood or a Krishna or a Christ consciousness. When that state arises, there's an option to leave the body, and 50+% of people take the option. I don't know why. I've never experienced it. I've never gone through it, so I can't say. But what I can say is that in that state, it feels like you're leaving the body. It felt like I was close to a point in time where there would maybe be a door, and the door would say, "Do you want to go?" And I would be like, "Oh shit, maybe." And so I knew that if I had that option, I wanted to make sure that my finances were in order and that all the funds were going to the right people in the right places. So, anyways, it was just a point in my journey where I was really unsure about what was going to happen because it felt like I could barely pay my bills.
Hmm. Yeah, I for me, it's interesting what you say. For me, it's like somehow I kind of, I think you can always start to question just things from a logical perspective as well. Like, right, why are we wearing shoes? Like, why do we live in houses, right? Like, and for me, that's kind of like through. So my way to what you described, for example, was a different one. So I watched the movie The Secret,
Yeah,
and I thought, I don't know if you know Dan Pena, this,
yeah,
yeah, and I was like, I need to be rich, no matter what. I was like, fuck it all, so, and then the good thing was he recommended this book, Release Your Breaks, and there it was about manifesting. And then I was on Netflix,
uh,
and I saw this movie, The Secret, and I watched it, and it was like this surreal movie. It was like, could this really be true? And I watched it,
yeah,
I was like, man, this would be so nice. It would be so cool if this would be possible. If you can just if. And then I started to drive cars at night, and I was doing all these kind of things. And then I met a guy in a Lamborghini, and he kind of brought me into this whole kind of thing. And then he recommended me a book from an American, Gary Renard, uh, something really interesting. It's a really nice book. And then this book was about the experience of this guy, Gary Renard, with A Course in Miracles. I don't know if you're familiar with that book. Do you know this book, A Course in Miracles?
yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. And I was like, I have to do the workbook of it.
Yeah,
And I just did it. And that's the best thing that ever happened to me in my whole life.
powerful. That's a powerful thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy, right? It's I don't know, it just shifts you with like, and then kind of this knowing. I mean, you also have it with like the money. Like for me, like I don't, right now I have to be honest, I only have one client. I live at my mom's place. Just don't have really like the kind of the 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 push to be like, let's do 20 more clients. At the beginning of the year, I was living with some people in Switzerland that also like one exited a company. She was like almost she was also really successful, his wife, and I was pushing and I was working really hard, and it's all working out if you can do it. But I was like, I don't know, it was too fast. It was too fast. It was too fast at a certain level, and it's like, you know, when you experience all those things, it's like I wanted to really kind of be aligned with myself. I don't know. For you, it's maybe the same. Maybe you can tell how you kind of then felt this is what you want to do, or how you so you really prayed for having the energy to also really do the work, from what I understand, right?
Yeah,
Um,
come back to earth and be able to function and build up a company again, except a nonprofit. Yeah.
yeah, because it's sometimes it's hard to kind of keep this always this energy up. Or for me, it's like I kind of try to, you know, sometimes I don't have the energy just to do it, and I feel like I just need to rest, and I just feel like I need to give myself more space for all of this, because sometimes you're in this flow where you just work and it works, and sometimes it's like one of these days where it just isn't the case. I'm just trying to maneuver through it all, because I've seen like for me it's not um for me it's just not that I need to get a job or something. It's like or go that way. I just want to be aligned with myself, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's really beautiful that you have that freedom to choose. And it takes a lot of work to get to the place that you've gotten to. From an objective standpoint, there's many people who would say, "Oh, I don't want to just live with my mom and only have one client." But what's so beautiful is that you're choosing this path and that you probably have seen the window of opportunity to hit the rapid scale button and go to 20 clients in a short period of time. And I think that that's what you've described is that you've felt such an incredible opportunity and it's there for you and it always will be there for you. And to what degree that you decide to pursue it and at what rate of speed you decide to pursue it is completely within your control. And I find that it's really beautiful when an individual is in the early stages of entrepreneurship and doesn't rush the process. I rushed the process. I worked like all day, every day for 6 years and pretty much didn't do anything else. And that period of my life was 100% devoted to my laptop. And there's some people who, when I tell that to them, they're like, "Wow, man, do you wish you did it any differently?" And I say, when I look back at it, I know that I didn't need to work that hard, but I did. And so it's not a regret, but there is a sense of I appreciate the souls who choose to sort of wander into other directions and have a more balanced path towards, scaling their business. And it feels like you're walking that fine line of enjoying the business process and also enjoying life and doing these things like ACIM, A Course in Miracles, which is incredible. And, watching these good films like The Secret, and it looks like you got a lot of books. So you're programming yourself properly, I would say.
Yeah, I try to, yeah, yeah, and it's you know I found it so cool that you again I didn't say at the beginning, but that you could also take the time to speak to me or to record this with me, because it's just incredible when you just this alone this name from like agency enlightened from what you did, or these kind of things, or now with nonprofit. I think you need to also I would like you to elaborate also on more on that, but it's just like it's the first time, you know, where I'm like, this is, you know, this is like something where I feel like a bit at home, you know, where I'm just like somebody speaks his heart, and it's not, it just feels like more, it just doesn't feel like one arrow in one direction. It just feels like a whole, like,
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be that one arrow in business. That's what I was, at least for a long period of time. But the shifts for me started happening when I started reading ACIM, which is probably, 2 years into starting content on YouTube, I think. Maybe a year or two in, I started reading ACIM and Hawkins and spirituality and the nature of consciousness, and all of that started coming into my life. And I started becoming less of a singular arrow and more of a wholesome whole that was more rounded and balanced.
oh, it's beautiful. How did you come across the book A Course in Miracles?
A really good friend of mine recommended it to me, and he also recommended Hawkins' Power versus Force, which Power versus Force is the first book of 12 or 13 books that Hawkins released in the final 10 years of his life. And that is the book that has the quantitative and qualitative analysis that backs applied kinesiology and its ability to tell truth versus falsehood through muscle testing.
Okay,
And
wow, I wrote it down. I think I'm ordering this one.
that's the scientific evidence of the existence of God that I could not deny. And I grew up in a Christian family or a, I don't know, Catholic. I just was not at all connected to God in my earlier stages of life. But I felt sort of that there was no connection to source for me up until I read this book. This book completely shifted my perspective. And then ACAM hit me after, and that was like a slap to the face further. God.
Did you do the workbook?
I didn't do the workbook. I skimmed through it and it was profound and beautiful. Funny enough, if you go into calibrations, the workbook calibrates around 540, 550. The daily lessons themselves, the 365, calibrate at 600. Both are very high calibrations on the map of consciousness, but I stuck to the daily aphorisms that came through. And I did that for maybe 3 or 4 years, and it was really special. I should probably still do it. It's a lifelong practice, ACIM.
What do you mean with you did the daily, which one you did?
So in ACIM, you know how you wake up and you read one a day?
Oh, you mean the from the workbook or from the textbook?
I'm assuming it's the textbook because it's just the 365 daily messages that you read each day, lesson one, lesson two.
Ah, then it's the workbook.
Is that the workbook?
Yeah, it's the workbook.
Okay. There's another book that basically is massive. It's a Bible and it is like an integration book that I didn't read, but I
Ah,
read the messages that Helen Schumann or whatever her name is, the ones that she wrote. Yeah.
okay, yeah. It's I know it's so profound. It's somehow, like I feel with all of this when I think then you're also familiar with the works of Kenneth Wapnick.
Not familiar.
That's the guy that was then also came to the picture, like who was then helping Helen to kind of put it all together, who read through it. And also so this Gary Renard guy, that was so interesting for me. That was the first book I read. It was called, I think, The Illusion of the Universe.
Yeah.
And he also has then a couple more books coming out. And there's also one which was, for example, the lifetimes of Jesus and Buddha. He had two people like this. These were books, like 4 books or so, and they all go with a different kind of topic. And one guy and one woman are just he can kind of channel them. They just appear, and they yeah, and they just tell him things about A Course in Miracles to put it right, because many, it's what happened with the Bible is kind of yeah, and it's for me it was this just made sense because there's also so much, things floating around that are, not making so much sense when you may understand what I mean. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, really cool that you also did it.
Huge fan of ACAM. I recommend it to a lot of people, especially people who are suffering from illnesses or mental disorders or whatever it is. ACIM, if you've tried everything in the pharmaceutical realms, I would recommend a dose of ACIM for a year because it is called A Course in Miracles for a reason.
It is. It is. Just, if you just start to do it for 7 days, your life is going to change, right?
Yeah, my favorite are like the first 20 lessons. They're just incredible. I find that they're the most profound for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is it that you decided not to do with your nonprofit?
So Satori School is a nonprofit devoted to guiding humanity back to inner peace. I want to be very clear on why we use the words back to. This implies that you were once there. And I believe very strongly that having all come from the same source, that source that we come from its natural essence is peace, it's love. That is the essence of God. And so, somewhere along the way, throughout, I don't know how many incarnations we've all gone through, your soul goes all over the place. And there are many souls out there who have gone very far from inner peace and from this place of wholeness and unity and love. It seems to be sort of a natural extension of the perfection of the universe in what people call duality, because it started when, in biblical references now, I'm not an expert on the Bible. I've not read the Bible, but I've read pieces of it. And I know that Lucifer was one of the highest ranking angels, and he was very dear to God or supreme being or source or whatever you want to call this divine power. And he got beset by pride. He didn't want to serve the Lord, and he wanted to go on his own. I'm saying he. I also want to call out that Lucifer is beyond pronouns and genders. So if I could say she, I could say shim, I could say anything. It's like when people say God is a he and other people are offended by it, that they just need to realize that God doesn't have testicles. It's they're beyond the source is beyond gender. So call that out. Lucifer got the best. Pride got the best of him, and he was a fallen angel. Sort of this concept of Lucifer falling was the divide between love and purity and truth and pride and ego and deception and deceit and that slithering force that slid through the garden and convinced Eden to bite from the forbidden fruit and eat the apple. And this is sort of the birthplace of duality. Well, the beauty of duality is that it gives each soul its possibility to be its own creator in a certain sense. So, because you have the capacity to choose, you get to be sort of like your own little creator. And we are all just the one infinite creator. We're pieces of the one infinite creator. And as we realign our nature of being to be more harmonious and in alignment with the true nature of the one infinite creator and not the fallen angel of Lucifer, we become more of this love and this inner peace and this radiance of harmony that people feel just so good around. If you have any friends or if your mother is somebody that loved you or whoever it is, if you there's just certain people in your life where when you're around them, you feel, wow, I feel so at peace with this person. They're so loving, they're so great. Well, that's the essence of God radiating out of them. And they have been able to embody that essence through doing the work, such as ACIM or reading incredible books like The Secret or Transcending the Levels of Consciousness or Power versus Force or any of these books that speak about consciousness and help you understand your true reality. So Satori School is leveraging the power of the camera and the microphone to blast out as much truth as we can possibly blast out through the means of social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Right now, we're primarily focused on reaching mankind through YouTube and through Instagram and through TikTok. Those are the three channels that we're sort of devoting our energy to in the first year or two. And we're sharing messages of truth. And Satori means awakening or enlightenment. It's a Japanese word. It actually traditionally is converted to the word enlightenment, sort of an extension of agency enlightened, but totally different. And I just strongly feel that the only thing that matters is enlightenment. There's some good quotes by the Buddha, and I'm going to butcher the quote a little bit, but he says that once you've heard of enlightenment, there's no going back. And what he means by that is it's the supreme goal. And if you've read the Bhagavad Gita, you know that Krishna is talking to Arjuna, and he says, Arjuna, I am the supreme goal. And to realize me is the supreme goal of this life. And to realize him is the same as realizing Christ consciousness or the same as realizing Buddhahood or whatever. It's all the same. We're all trying to realize our innate divinity within ourselves, which brings us inner peace. So we are doing our best to share high calibrating material through the realms of social media to make an impact on reprogramming people and taking them away from false beliefs, distorted paradigms, distortions in their lens that are causing them to experience suffering and to experience a feeling of being controlled or manipulated or feeling suppressed or feeling like there is some greater force that they can't overcome that is challenging them, and helping them come back to this place of realizing that they're an infinite being and that they're the creator of their universe and their reality, and that they that alone, that your essence of existence alone is of infinite value. And I think that there's so many people that they uh they forget that.
Well, that I think I cannot say anything else to it. It's you know, wow, wow. Thanks for doing that. I
Yeah, doing my best.
feel like, and how how is it going?
Good. I mean, I don't think it could go bad. Like, I there's not like a goal to make $1 million in the first year or to reach 1 million people. There is no goal. Uh, it's part of my practice of being of service to mankind in this life. And in the same way that you can't achieve enlightenment, it's not something you achieve. It's not something you obtain. It is something that naturally unfolds. And it naturally unfolds because everything in the universe is spontaneously happening. And when the fruit is ripe, you pluck it off the tree. And that ripeness, you can't force it to happen. Sure, there's things you can do that will influence the ripeness to occur faster. You know, you can make sure there's good soil, you can make sure there's sunlight, you can give it water every day. And this is why people meditate that care about enlightenment. You meditate, you read good books, you feed your mind with things that enrich your soul and help you come closer to that place of wholeness. But there is no possibility for this work to be bad. And if there was a possibility, it would be a distortion in my lens of how I'm seeing the work that I'm doing. This isn't to say that I am just happy and jolly all day, every day. There are days where I feel wildly sad and disconnected from divinity. But there is an underlying awareness that even in those emotions of feeling disconnected or depressed or sad or dissatisfied, I trust fully in divinity and know that this path is perfect and that in this now moment, no matter how depressing or sad I may be, that this is also perfect. And I think that it comes as a consequence of having seen divinity and experienced divinity, even for only a few hours, because it's so powerful that once you've seen it, you know the truth, and there's no going back. And it sort of holds you through your toughest moments in life because you know that you can't die and that there's no reason to have fear and that there's no reason to feel scarcity because the awareness of being an infinite being is so strong within you. So,
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's different. You perceive reality different, right? Right. So you, as you also said, you have no goal, right?
yeah,
So
there's an intention,
mhm.
right? But there's no goal.
You just have this kind of inner feeling, all right? Or or how do you
There's, there's an inner calling to pursue being of service to mankind in a selfless way through the knowledge that I have been gifted by God. And I know marketing and I know how to manipulate things in the digital realms very quickly. I'm very good at the keyboard. I can click a mouse. I can move around in this digital landscape very well. And it happens to be the grand podium where all of mankind's attention exists. And I find that if Jesus Christ was around today, this is where he would be showing up. He'd be
Hmm.
showing up on social media. You'd see him walking on water. You'd see him multiplying fish. You'd see him turning water to wine. And these miracles would be viral and they'd be pinned on his social media page. Jesus Christ, you get to watch them all. So I find that like it's kind of hilarious because at the times of Jesus he walked from town to town. He went to places where he could gather big crowds so that he could be able to impact mankind to the greatest of his ability in his lifetime. I find that what I'm doing is no different. And I'm just taking an approach that gives the maximum opportunity to reach the maximum amount of people. But it's not a goal. It is fully just an act of selfless service with an intention of helping mankind while realizing that no one actually needs help because everything is perfect as it is. So it's a sort of a non-dualistic lens.
Let me know if there's anything where I maybe at some point can help you with. I really like it.
Cool, dude. I mean, I feel like my if I have something specific, yes, I will call you. And also if you ever feel called to just participate in any way, you can let me know.
Is there something that if you have another minute or two, or how tight are you?
Yeah, I got time, dude.
Oh, that's amazing. What would be something, when you went back to your like 18-year-old self? I mean, of course, everything is perfect, right?
Yeah.
But or when you would when you would have kids, maybe what would you tell them? How would you be with them?
Wow, I would be very playful. And if you see me the vast majority of the day, I'm acting like an absolute 4-year old making dumb shit all the time. Like social media doesn't really fully see that side of me, but I'm a creature most of the day, and I don't know what creature I am. So
That's
I would love to be an inner creature with my kids because they're a creature at that stage. They can't speak, but when they're older, I would sit them down and have the conversation and let them know what's unfolding in this universe and drip it slowly out to them. There's often this question of if you were going to die tomorrow and you could pass on one message to your kids, like what would that message be? And I feel that assuming they're of age and they can understand this message, which they would be able to, because I think I got some years left. I would share with them that you're living in a purgatorial domain. You chose to come here. You've incarnated here on earth. A purgatorial domain is a domain where you've come to cleanse your soul of sins that you have made in past lives. Sins are just spiritual errors. They're nothing more than that. You could also call it karma. So you've had some past lives. You probably killed some people.
Mm.
Have to pay that off. And you've come back here to have that opportunity to pay that off. Granted, there are exceptions. Jesus Christ was somebody who was an avatar. He had one lifetime as a human being, and in that lifetime, he did what he did. He was perfect. And there are very few of those beings, and that's why when those beings come here, we highly revere them, and there's whole religions that are formed after them. So be aware that there are anomalies like Buddha and Krishna and Jesus and some of the great avatars that have come to this planet to teach us what the essence of God actually is like. But know that you're in a purgatorial domain. And so that you've come here for a reason. And that reason, there's only one reason why you've come here. You've come here to be able to transcend the karma that you've collected from previous lifetimes so that you can go to a higher vibrational domain or a realm of existence when this physical body dies in this life. Now, I would also be very clear with them that in seeing this domain as purgatorial, you should understand that it's perfect as it is. Because if the domain was heavenly, it would also be perfect. But because the domain is purgatorial and there are evils that exist in this world and there are forces that want you to do demonic like things, it gives you the opportunity to not choose them. And to not choose them is to pay off your karma and is to choose the light over the darkness. And so, in having the choice to choose the light over the darkness, we transcend our karma. And that's why you're here. And so, whenever you have that opportunity, always choose the light. And I'll see you on the other side.
Well, that's- yeah, right. It's always we can all we always forget sometimes, but we always I think that's one of the it's right also in A Course in Miracles where it's like you still remain the power to choose, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't change. If you think about Jesus Christ, he was an avatar. He calibrated at 1,000 on the Hawkins scale of consciousness, which is the maximum level of consciousness human beings can calibrate at, particularly because the nervous system can't support greater energy levels than that. The body sort of has a maximum limit of energy that it can have running through it. That may change as our genetics adapt and consciousness rises throughout mankind. Our bodies will adapt and mutate to allow us to experience greater levels of divinity and connection. But archangels, they calibrate at 50,000. So imagine 50,000 Jesus Christ sitting together meditating. Well, that's the power of one archangel. Okay. Now, if you, or not 50,000, it's 50 archangels because each angel is, um, each Jesus would be about 1,000. So my math is a bit wrong there. But keep in mind, it's also a nonlinear logarithmic scale. So it's one point is not just one point, it's an infinite number when you get to that level. But anyways, where I was going with this was that Lucifer was the highest ranking angel. It doesn't matter how close you get to the supreme being source that is divinity, that power that rules this entire universe and moves everything. You still have to choose the light. You still have the capacity to fall as an archangel. There are still temptations that exist at levels beyond our wildest imaginations as human beings. And Jesus was tempted by the devil and by that force of evil that exists, which is considered as Lucifer. So it seems to be an evergreen principle that will serve you throughout all of your lifetimes forever, and it will never not serve you. So I think it's the most important lesson that you could ever pass to anybody at any time, because it doesn't matter how far they evolve or how high their level of consciousness is. We live in an infinite universe. So there's no maximum level, it's just infinity. And you're always going to have to choose love, no matter what level you're at. You're never fully protected. The temptations, I feel, are always there. It does get easier, though, the higher you calibrate, you know, because you have subjectively experienced love. So you sort of have a better understanding of what is true versus what is false.
Well, mm, that's really interesting. Like, I still don't like if it's still crazy that you decided to come back from that high of a frequency.
If you read Transcending the Levels of Consciousness, which is The Stairway to God, it's an incredible book that outlines all of the various different levels of consciousness and what the sort of blocks are to each level. Hawkins advises that you get your worldly affairs in order before you go to enlightenment, because it's very difficult to do that when you get there. It's commonly known that those who become enlightened sort of just do nothing all day. They meditate all day. They live in an ashram. They live in a cave. They don't really do anything productive, quote unquote. Hawkins was somebody who went through the enlightenment process and struggled to come back to the world, but after several years or many years, through power of divinity that be, he was able to function again and function in a very high level of consciousness and write books and do speaking engagements and run a nonprofit. But he said it was very difficult to come back to that. And if it wasn't for the power of God itself allowing that to happen and for him to function in that way. It wouldn't have been possible. So he advises to get your worldly affairs in order. And when I was in that state of consciousness, I had just gone through an exit. I just received a bunch of money. I had nothing in order.
Mm.
I needed to put the money somewhere. I needed to invest it. I needed to figure out where's the money going to go if I die. I needed to get sort of all of those worldly affairs in order, and they weren't in order. And so I prayed to God that I could function again in the way that I was once able to when I was running the company so that I could get these things in order. And I'm still doing that today. It's still a thing where I still have things that I'm getting in order. And what I mean by that is, for me, the primary thing of wanting to get in order is the money thing. I have to figure out a good system for the money so that it doesn't run out, right? Or so that there's a good team behind me or people that could manage it successfully if all I can do is be in a state of consciousness where I can't even think about it and whatever. So I'm sort of building that foundation for the wealth management aspect of my life to be taken care of. So that way the nonprofit can thrive so that I can thrive personally and live a good, comfortable, healthy, balanced lifestyle. Um, and so I'm learning a lot about investing and, management of wealth. And that's a big journey and it requires a lot of functioning. So that's uh that's what I'm doing.
Well, um, it's really interesting that, yeah, shines a different light on things.
Sort of preparing for the final run, you could say.
Mm. Yeah, it's yeah, when so how old are you exactly, if I may ask? What did you say?
27.
27. Yeah, I'm 20, so it's right. It's like there's still maybe seven, depends, right? Of course, it depends on how it goes, but there's maybe some more years left, right?
Uh,
It's
what? Living life or
yeah,
what?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
yeah, of living life, yeah.
yeah, you got to prepare for the potential 70 years to come.
Yeah, crazy. Crazy is
Hopefully,
interesting.
yeah, more. Um, yeah, man. Um, I'm excited to be functioning again and to be here with you. It's really special.
Yeah. Are you going to do as well more of these calls in the agency enlightenment community in Discord?
I intend to, for sure. Um, Spontaneously, whenever my heart feels like it, I'm definitely gonna reach out and tell people that I'm feeling like doing a call. There's been a couple of people or a few people who've reached out and asked about wanting to help with admin and, community management stuff to make the group more engaging and fun to be in. So it'll progress. I want it to be a space where people who are early on the path of starting a business can come in, ask questions, and get answers from people that are many, many, many steps ahead, or even just a few steps ahead, and sort of give you the capacity to connect with somebody who is on a very similar journey of starting and building an agency or a service-based business that is digital, whatever. I think it's really powerful when you can connect with those people. In my early stages of growing the business when I was 18, 19 years old and I was scaling it, I had a friend who was running an agency. It was the same agency as me. It was an Amazon advertising agency. And we spoke all the time, 2, 3 hour, 4 hour calls, sometimes every day for weeks on ends, just talking about the business and what we're doing and how we're growing. And that back and forth energy that we exchanged was so important. It really allowed me to scale the agency much quicker and have a lot more faith and strength in what I was doing. And so I want to be able to have a space, a container where people can find that partner that's somebody that they love to just talk to because they're running a Facebook ads agency and they're doing the same thing as you, and they, even though they're on the other side of the world, like I am a huge advocate that we're stronger together, and that if you want to just play the solo game of living in the shadows and doing it all yourself and not sharing anything with anybody because you're afraid they're going to steal your niche or steal your offering or copy your website, is the most fucking ridiculous thing ever. And you should just delete that mindset immediately, because there's so much greater power when you're connected with other people in your industry.
Can I ask you kind of a bit, can I ask you a bit about my kind of idea with the agency? Cool, thank you. So I told you to the beginning of it, kind of the idea that I now kind of have that I am now testing more and more. So because I think so, of course, it always depends on the client of how they like themselves on video, especially if you have a woman as a client. That can be a thing. But when I looked at all this, for example, Ty Lopez, he was living on online, right? When you saw those stories back in the day, or when you go still to his Instagram, you should see he was posting constantly. Or right now, I mean, kind of the thing is that you have like 20 to 30 different sub accounts and they're just posting like those clips, right? With and what I saw kind of with ads was, so I've been in this space for like, I started doing it when I was 16, 17, when I met the guy with the nice car, and they had an e-commerce agency, they had an e-commerce brand, and then they pivoted into an agency, and I was just coming after school. I was just coming there, and I was just like, there was so much more interesting at that point than school because yeah. And so I saw it from the e-commerce point. I saw it from the app point. I saw it even from the local business point. We run ads for a kebab chain in Germany, and we were able with a cool strategy to get like 20 cents per new lead. It was pretty nice. But now I kind of it was pretty neat. It was pretty crazy at the beginning of the year. And now I kind of saw that I think when you run, because I think the ads, the organic stuff just takes a lot of time, right? It just takes like
It can.
and and so I thought, and at the beginning of the year was also like kind of had the vision to maybe just show people, you don't need like that kind of fancy equipment or everything. You just need your phone. And if you're an expert at something, just share what you have, right? And so as I had this client now for no, in general it's going to be 2 years, and she was coming through me with everything of my face. So because last year, or I tell you the whole story if you're fine with it.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So I met this guy in the Lamborghini, and because I affirmated nice cars, and he had an e-commerce brand, and he kind of introduced me to the whole spirituality concept of like
Cool.
being and meditation and everything. So it was really nice.
Good
And
person, good Lamborghini. That's quite rare.
yeah, yeah, and still friends with him, and they had an e-commerce brand, and so after school I was, and we just, it was like I was just amazed, like. And then I just met with him like almost every night, and we just got so close, and he shared everything with me that he thought. And then I was doing an internship at his company, and he also had a brother, Manuel. And then I just started to work more and more together with Manuel on the working side, because we just like each other. And um, they then started an agency on Fiverr Pro. They were then verified, and I just then came over more and more, and they showed me the stuff, and then I was just like working and advising people, and it was just like it just made fun, seeing this whole picture. You had the Figma boards, we had the strategies, you had the call with the clients, and we set up everything, and then we grew up with the agency, and we also started to do kind of all sorts of things. One started to sell websites, and you just decided to do some stuff. And I then we then Manu was then more and more interested in the startup space, and he was then like, you can come with me to Barcelona for 3 months. You can stay there at a venture VC, and just do their internship. I was like, there was like half a year after I graduated from after did my A levels, and and so it was like yeah, um, and on the meantime, our agency was at its all-time high with like 10K in revenue that we did, and we had like 3 clients. And then this new client came in that I'm talking about, which is in the Invest Like Aisha. She's doing for expats in Europe. She helps them kind of figure out their finances into how they can invest for retirement because as you know, it's kind of a bit difficult if you've lived in several countries and your currencies are all over the place. And after that, we came back to Germany, and Manu wanted to start his own venture builder, and so it was like, and also all the whole time, it was really great times, but I also kind of realized, I just need freedom, I just need space somehow. It was like I was there, we were friends, but also in business, but I was not his partner. I was just there. I was just somebody that had not a clear role. And then the venture builder grew, and I was kind of a bit not giving this one client, it was still always going on at 2K a month, and was not giving it too much of it was working very well, but I was not giving it too much of a attention, not like focusing so much on it. And we were then just doing the other stuff for the venture builder, preparing with the city and getting startups in and starting our first program. And at the end, I was also then leading our development team, and with like 3 developers then there at our place. And I just then realized at the end of the year, at the end of last year, this is Manu's dream, and it's not my dream. And I had a couple of these moments where I was just like crying, and I was like, it's just, I wanted to make it work so badly, but I just couldn't. And and then at the January was then the last month. We worked together, and on February then started to work on my own thing. And I've been the cool part. So then I was invited to the one client to come to Zurich in Switzerland to then shoot just with her ads for the first time in person. And also then she referred me another couple from Switzerland, and he was a dream job coach. He still is. And so then they also booked me for like 2 days to come to them and just do a workshop. And that was pretty helpful because after all of that, you kind of, I was a bit doing a course in miracles to help my, to just kind of be a bit at peace through all the turmoil happening. And I was a bit lost. And this kind of set me a bit on sail again. And then it was like, then Michael and Barbara, they were then like taking me under their wing, Michael is the dream job coach. And he decided after he exited one of his big companies, he can now do what he likes. And he said, I want to teach our people how to get the dream job. And he did it very successfully. And I was then also there. And then this project got more and more. And I was like, I don't want to be an agency. I want to be a partner. And so then I had one client that demanded also a lot of attention, and then I had these also as a partner. Then I also had myself wanting to also experience freedom and space for myself. And then another thing happened that another people coming in and they wanted to also have a workshop there for them. Also a startup that came in, also really, really like quality of leads, insane. But and I did a great workshop with them. Feedback was extraordinary. Then no raising, I think. And it was, yeah, and then just a couple months ago, um, summer, I just realized I was in Barcelona then because I kind of had the money a bit going on, right? I don't have any real expenses. So I was like, I can travel, I can afford basically everything. And I went to visit a friend there, and I just realized there that like there is so much going on. I have this project that needs my attention, the one client. Then I have Michael and Barbara, where I'm basically a partner in business. Then I have my taxes that I also need to kind of now pay a bit of attention to and sort out. And I was like, I was just sitting there in the office then at the VC firm where I was just in the co-working because I knew them. And I was then like, I was just sitting there and I was like, just reading a Steve Jobs book, just like because I didn't know where to start. And then I was like, then called a friend and I was just talking to her, and she was like, you she's also very deep and spiritual, and she was like, you could have had the you could have the potential to grow that coaching business from Michael and Barbara with social. I posted every day on social media. I started to do with go with ads and everything, but she was like, that would have grown so far because they offered me the opportunity, the Dream Shop coach, them to go and move with them to Spain to Soto Grande next year, and but that would have made your like when you have a tree just that just grows fast, it has a big crown, but it doesn't have, not have a good foundation. And and then yeah, and then that was I just resonated so strongly with that. And then I just talking to them, and I just had in the kind of a truth that I don't have the kind of that's that much of a just sorted that kind of thing out. And now I was kind of planning to do the I always last year I was already had the idea, we just need to do more video ads. That's I think that the biggest lever that we have. And then I came over in August to Zurich, again to Asia, and we just shot a lot of video ads. And since then, like since so we shot them in August, and August was like a record month for us, like in terms of the ad spend and by the way, your microphone is a bit silent.
Oh, how
Yeah.
is that?
No, it's better. No, it's better.
I was just talking quietly.
Yeah. And and now we then did it again Amsterdam like this weekend. And I just kind of still testing, I think, this kind of idea with just getting more video ads out and kind of now having a bit of an editing pipeline, just knowing what to do. And I'm just like thinking um, how to take it from there. Like, because it's of course still like this has to continue to grow from a numbers perspective. The numbers have to be better, but we already so what she wanted to do at the what her ultimate goal was like was first was like to have 20K a month in ad spend and kind of to be break even in the first month. And we achieved this basically already this month, and it's like 2 weeks into. And so I'm just kind of thinking, where should I take it from there? And should I try and get new clients, or should I just stay with it, or take it slowly, see how it goes? Yeah, I also have maybe because I worked with another startup together in South Korea, and maybe I'm also going to maybe talk with the founder, and I told him this crazy idea that just like and they have a startup there. Maybe I'm flying to South Korea then next month at the end or something, or in November maybe. But I just like this traveling aspect of it because you can experience then the energy of the location of the people, of the actual clients, right? And what is your perspective on this whole idea?
Well, there was a lot of information there, so I'm going to ask you some questions to condense it down so I can give you a proper answer to the best of my ability.
And thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no worries, dude. I'm happy to help you. So tell me specifically what is the question? Because what is my perspective on the idea is kind of like give me more specificity.
No, with me doing this kind of thing right now as an agency or as a business, what do you see in this? What's your point of what do you feel about this kind of what I'm just right now doing with the just recording video ads, going to people, just shooting their video ads, running them, editing them, and yeah, doing that. What
I think it's amazing, dude. I mean, you're running an ad agency, and an ad agency is tough work. And the fact that you've been able to get results that are what sounds to be incredible shows that you have a natural affinity for it. And that natural affinity is highly sought after. It's probably the most number one thing that so many people want because a lot of people they don't know how to get customers, they don't know how to get sales. Advertising is one of the most difficult problems that almost every business owner goes through. So in the same way that in the beginning when I started Amazon advertising, I was able to figure out how to get these e-commerce brands way more sales. You're figuring out how to get these people way more people to their events or to their whatever it is that they're offering, whether it's events or digital, I don't know. But I think that you should definitely pursue it and that you should continue down this path. It seems like you have knowledge in it, you have case studies, you have experience, and you're enjoying the process of flying out. That's super beautiful. I feel like there's not a lot of agencies that are willing to do that. And it's sort of a uniqueness to your essence as an agency is that you want to be in person with them. You want to shoot whatever it is that you're going to be shooting with them. A lot of agencies will just say, I'm going to give you the guidelines and here you go off and make this and I'll help you write the script. But it's Zoom calls back and forth. And um, if you enjoy the travel aspect and that allows you to create better content, which has better results for them, it's a moat around your castle and it makes your castle more difficult to break into, and it also makes your castles more stronger than the other castles, and it makes it look more unique and more specialized, and so much more people will be drawn to that, so I think it's incredible. I think you should definitely continue pursuing it. I would invest in it personally, just based off what I'm hearing. I would invest in it. I think it's incredible. It's just my intuition.
Thank you so much. How would you I saw that one video you did. It was your most popular video. I like to always sort YouTube channels by oldest, and you said the most recent oldest, most popular, and it was like this TikTok UGC agency. I think this was the video. I think it had like 3K views. And you were like you would do like commit to doing like 48 videos or something on the whole topic. How would you go about kind of in my aspect to grow it slowly and with the right people?
What's your MRR right now?
It's 2K.
Okay, one client.
Yeah.
Is it consistent per month? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Um, and is it safe to say that your service offering is creation of creatives and management of ads?
Hmm.
Okay. And it's Meta.
Hmm.
Instagram's also with that.
Facebook and Instagram.
And who's your ideal client profile?
I would like to work together with like my ideal client. That's not,
Experts.
yeah, experts and yeah, experts. Yeah, and just cool people that really trust their services and that are also able to kind of, I like to, I ideally I wouldn't even do the editing part. I would get somebody to help me do that because, but I have this thing, I just have these things in my head and it just feels sometimes hard to get them across sometimes to people sometimes in some ways. But I would like to work together with people that are know how to pull up a landing page and these kind of things where they are like kind of already they are in that stuff. Maybe they run the ads themselves already.
Yeah. They're not completely blind to the digital landscape. They know how to navigate it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and they maybe also in organically. Maybe they also already do some organic content, so they're familiar with it.
Okay. Yeah. Are you so a little bit more specificity would be great because it is quite broad still. Are you leaning towards working with people that are doing in-person events?
So what she's doing is she sells a course for 2.5 thousand euros. Um, that's just what this whole kind of journey with like, you kind of it's funnel building, right? You kind of so I like to just test funnel. I mean, there's infinite funnels that you can do a book funnel, you can run ads for a free masterclass, right? I see some people who just like focus on one of these kind of things where they're like, I just do book funnels for people. And I would still kind of, because I like all of them. And what I saw always working in my kind of whole experience is that you create something that's unique. Because I always saw, so for example, when we did at the beginning of the year, this thing that crushed like crazy for this kebab chain in Germany, where we got like 20 cents per read, which is like, I had never seen this before. It was insane. It
Low
was,
CPL. That's beautiful.
yeah, and it was just two creatives that basically were for free kebab. And this just worked just to find something that works for the audience. I think that's the first point, to just define that, and I would help them with it, but I'm just not a designer. I can work together with designers, and that's just not what I just have in my portfolio. But at the essence, if there would be people, what I would love is if there would be people that would be kind of willing to pay a lot also upfront, where you would be able to get like maybe 10,000 euros, and you would kind of be able to have a cool team to work together that you could kind of help them design the landing page, shoot a course if they would have one, or just do all these kind of things together.
Mhm.
Right now, it's just, I just can't do it. I don't know the people. I don't feel like I knew somebody where I was like, this sounds cool, but then it was like it didn't feel right for me that he was good enough to help me build the whole website thing. Because still like you can design very good, but it still has to convert really well, right? So you have to put the enough effort in it. And then I would like to then shoot the ads for it and run ads to it and see and test it. And then yeah, that's kind of that would be the biggest thing. And the leanest thing right now is to just shoot ads, set the tracking up for them with like a tracking software that I know, and run the ads and edit the ads for that. Yeah.
You definitely are lacking specificity on who your ideal client profile is and what your strengths are with that person. I can just tell by the way you're talking and your responses to everything. Um, I would think more about this. Think more about who, like, I don't know how many examples or case studies of people that you've worked with in the past you have. It becomes easier the more you stay in the industry. And you sort of can't just be too narrow where you say no to unique offerings that you've never done, because you have to have the faith that your skill set is good enough to be able to possibly make it work. Because if you can figure it out for these other industries that you have no experience in, that you could probably figure it out in these ones. So there is some trialing that needs to take place in the early stages of the development of the agency to figure out who the ICP is, the ideal client profile. I can't just tell you like you can figure it out, narrow it down, because you may not be at the point in time where you have enough data to actually know who that ideal person is. It sounds vague, but I'll do my best to describe what it sounds like thus far. It sounds like you want to work with somebody who has an understanding of what the digital landscape looks like and feels like, and they know how to navigate it. So they're not just blind to what a good landing page looks like. They're not blind to what good ads look like. They're not blind to what a good priced offer and a funnel looks like. They have a general idea. That'll be super foundational and super helpful. So I think that in itself is a good way to say no. That's like a good qualifier in your ICP process of figuring out who you want to work with. You could wrap that up under the word experts. So you could have, I want to work with experts, and then some bullet points below that. They'd have to understand the basics of building good landing pages, design, whatever those things are. And then if you want to, because you have experience with events or whatever you have had success with in the past, you could say, you know what, I want to make an effort to push after this specific type of person because I've had success with it in the past. I want to go after people that are doing in-person masterminds or or people that are selling high ticket programs, whatever it is, you know. So it'd be helpful if you could have something of that specificity, because experts is so vague. If you were doing $1 million a month and you had a proven offer, you could say that. And that's the interesting dichotomy and paradox of this realm of picking your niche, is like the more you scale, the vaguer your ICP gets, because you can just sort of help more and more people. It's not always the case. There are some scenarios where it becomes even more narrow. Um, but get more clear on who that person is that you want to work with, that feels exciting to you in your heart, and go after it, you know, and you know how to do that. You know how to go after those people. It seems that you're doing it for them. So
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I think I need to be more clear on, yeah, really on, yeah, yeah.
because once you've picked it, well, there's only one thing to do. It's time to go and get some discovery calls and find these people and help them, you know. Um, but I find that if the ICP is very vague, it seems difficult to go through the lead generation process and acquire clients. But if you can define it decently well, then you can position yourself in a way where you are able to communicate to that specific client very well. Because you have a proven case study in, was it in-person event or is it just
I have,
online?
I kind of have case studies in every niche. I have in apps, in e-commerce, in-person store launch for a kebab chain, high ticket coach course.
Which
Yeah,
one like the most
worked the most. I mean,
that you enjoyed the most and worked the best, sort of a blend between the two? I mean, your current client has to be one, right?
yeah, I can't say it to be honest.
Okay.
I'm just doing the current client when I'm honest is because it just continue, she really likes my service and it just continues to go. And I we also had, I think it was 1.5 months ago, we also had a thing where it was like almost like, because I did not just bought myself a new computer. And
Nice.
because my old computer, I had an old one and I was just like, it was not working well. And she was, because I wanted to edit the videos, but I couldn't edit them. And then it was a bit of a falling out. But I just enjoy working what I enjoy is to work with people that are motivated. So for example, the last year, the app, High Local, and the founder was just really cool. It's, it's just that
I get it. You enjoy working with people that you like to work with, that you can actually help with your service. So it's an ultimate win-win.
and that see, that see it. I,
Yeah.
because I don't want to just sell because I see it working in so many industries and I know I could with ads. I think I could make kind of everything work somehow if it.
Okay. You can go about it in a casting wide net fashion if you want. It's totally fine. You can definitely do that. The way in which I would recommend that if you wanted to go about scaling your agency, but not having the most clearly defined ICP, but keeping it sort of like open to just, I work with people that are great and they're highly driven. They have great offers. They have um, a desire to make paid ads work and a willingness to work with somebody that is creative and thorough in their process, which is me and my agency, whatever. Right? Let's just assume that that's what you're doing. It's as vague as that. You can definitely do that. It's just a matter of creating a lead generation system that enables you to have the open door to meet those types of people, and that there's a million ways in which you can do it. And I'm going to list the most obvious ones: asking your existing clients for referrals consistently, reminding them, and just saying, hey, if you happen to know anybody else that has an amazing offer like you, that's super cool, that's an expert, please send them my way. I'd love to help them. Your existing clients, the number one resource for that, or past clients are also great resources for opening doors for potential opportunities with people like that, right? That's lowest hanging fruit on the tree. But probably the second best option, if you enjoy this, you have to enjoy it, right? I feel like you should pick something that you generally want to do. YouTube is the number one platform, in my opinion, for casting a wide net to a big audience where enough people will be able to come in to where you can just sort of hand select the clients that you want to work with, even though they're from all sorts of different niches and audiences. And what we did with Better AMS and which is now BTR Media, our whole marketing philosophy, our strategy, and I felt very clear on this, and I don't know if they keep it, if it's still the same, but I bet it is because they do a phenomenal job. We did a phenomenal job at becoming the number one educators in our industry for what we're doing. So we want to be seen as the people that are the number one source for learning about Amazon advertising. And our scope is bigger now. It's Walmart advertising, it's OTT, it's all these other platforms. But in the beginning, it was just one thing: Amazon advertising. Your one thing is Facebook ads, it's meta ads, right? So, like, mastering meta advertising. Every business owner on planet fucking Earth knows that Facebook ads is something that has worked for so many other businesses. They can't figure out how to get it to work because they don't know how to get it to work. But if they search on YouTube, like how to run Facebook ads for XYZ e-commerce brand for this brand, do an incredible case study video, like an incredible video. Don't just like make some 20-minute video where you sit down and talk about it in front of a camera. Like make an incredible video documenting the case studies of each of your successful clients. They're case study videos, but they should be positioned in ways that look like documentaries or stories, things that, because people love stories, they love storytelling, they love documentaries. And so if you can tell it in a way where it's more of an educational thing, like here's how I got these Facebook ads to here's how I got my ad spend to X amount or my ROAS to X amount for this person in this vertical or in this niche. The current client that you're working with is a dime a dozen. There's a million people like her or him. It's a her, right? Yeah. Um, and they're probably out there figuring out how to do it and they're stuck, right? And so if they stumble on YouTube and they find that video, they're going to call you because you created the most inspiring piece of content that is the key to the door that they can't figure out how to open, right? And so really you could imagine with every single client that you take on in every vertical, whatever it is, just creating a documentary on the success story of that client that is formatted in an educational manner, meaning you're not just talking about results. Oh, look at the ROAS that we got. Look at the success. Look at how happy the client is. Here's how we did it. That's what people want to know. It's weird. It feels kind of like the the way of business used to be really straightforward. You just like here's my case studies, but there's no evidence, and that would do fine, and that would do great. What I find in the landscape of business now is that for those who can educate while backing up their education with proof and evidence, they will fucking win and they will win big and they will win the landscape on whatever platform that they choose to pursue. There is still massive opportunity for people that can just speak and can without, evidence behind them. There's a lot of people that are speaking like they know a lot about what they're talking about, but they have no fucking clue. And there's a lot of people who are buying their course or paying them for consultancy, and that's unfortunate. But it is true that there's a large portion of the population that is naive and doesn't know how to tell what is good. But you, as a master marketer, can position your content in a way that is undeniable and is positioned in a way that is so beautiful and well articulate and evidence fact based, truthful, educational, that when someone sees it, they can't even compare it to anything else they've ever seen because it's the most well documented educational piece of content they've ever seen. And they want to work with you because of it. So I'm a huge believer in education. And I think that that would be a way in which you could cast a net to multiply the clients that you've had in the past, whether it be in any of those verticals.
Mm-hmm.
You could also run ads behind them, and you know how to do that. So that's a whole other secondary option.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this insight, man. From the bottom of my heart.
I'd love to see you do it.
Yeah, it's, I thought, I liked so much about your channel. I don't know if it's so interesting for people sometimes, but I also like just this raw way of just documenting what's going on and what's happening. And still also,
Beautiful.
yeah, right.
I love that format. It's one style. There's many styles. And unfortunately, and not necessarily unfortunately, it's still something that I would consider doing. But right before deciding to leave my agency, I was in the peak of Agency Enlightened. It felt like I was about to push the button on going all in on Agency Enlightened. I was debating whether or not to exit the agency and then just go all in on Agency Enlightened and Agency Birth, which was going to be a program helping people start and scale agencies like from zero. The goal was to be like, hey, this is going to be an incubator that will serve all of the needs to get you to $10,000 a month. I think that after that point, and been a study, I think it was Ty Lopez that originally said this, and it was a Nobel Prize winner. I think it was Daniel Kahneman who said that after you make about $72,000 a year, your levels of happiness don't really go up that much after. It's pretty much like the peak point. So I think $10,000 a month is like you're well beyond the peak point. You're extraordinarily happy. If you can run a business at $10,000 a month with good profit margins, you are incredibly successful, and you can figure it out on your own from that point forward. But anyways, where I was going with this was that um, I sort of felt like I was going to possibly go into agency line. I chose not to. I chose to just sort of close everything, release agency line for free, pursue the nonprofit path. But there's still a part of me that really wants to do agency birth as a way of giving back to people. And as you were talking to me and as I was answering to you, I was just feeling into the beauty of it because when I see somebody like you that is in the stage of your life, it's so special. It's such a special period. You're like a little sapling that has the potential to become a mother tree. And I see the potential in you to grow the business, and it will unfold. It's inevitable because I can feel it in you based on the knowledge that you have and the books that you've read and your spirit within you. But um I felt super inspired by you. So I'm really grateful to be here because it's inspiring to talk to people like yourself because it's just a reflection of me. And I really do want to help more people. And I take a lot of joy out of helping people with stuff like this because having been through it, I know what it's like to be in the beginning stages and sort of feel like, what do I do? I want to do it, but I don't fully know. And it's not that you don't know because it'll happen. It's inevitable. It's just a little bit easier when somebody's by your side. Um, so, anyways, agency birth was reignited in my heart thanks to you in this conversation. It's something that I would consider thinking more about and possibly doing.
I would love to to be your case study or whatever it or I don't know to you just man to be honest I you're the only guy where I would be like it makes sense with you.
Oh,
It's
why is that?
no because you have no reason to do it. And not because of the exit. Not because and that's so important for me. It's not because of the money. It's because you're a deep spiritual person. Like you experience it.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um,
Because it's not happiness seeking. You know what I mean? And I,
mhm.
I and I and I hate that and I don't like that. It's when you see not that I don't like it. I can't say that. I mean, I also do that sometimes. Like I'm also but that just has a more I think that's really cool. So I would love to see.
I appreciate that. And maybe if I consider it, I'll consider your help with the advertising for it. So, um, yeah, when I contemplate agency birth, it's so interesting because I'm such a different reality where I love the nonprofit realm. I really love it so much because if somebody wants to give money, it's from their heart. It's a donation. It's really
Mm.
interesting. My old business partner, business partners. I'm an inactive partner in Better AMS. Just for clarity, I do have a bit of equity. Um, they were telling me they want to start a more professional podcast for Better AMS, and because I have the experience of starting a podcast with Satori School that is highly professional with really incredible equipment, they want my help. And so they sent this message, we're ready to do it and make the investment. And how much would you charge to help, you know, build us a one pager and set everything up, whatever. And I'm writing this message back and I'm like, well, out of the goodness of your heart, I would request that you donate whatever you feel it's worth. And if it's zero, I'm okay with that too, because I would happily just help you as is. And I would love for a similar model to be incorporated into agency birth. I would want it to be something where if you truly didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't have to pay for it. If you truly felt that like the time and energy and the knowledge that you received from it was not worth whatever you invested into it, that you can either not pay or receive your money back. Um, it's just the only way in which I would want to go about doing it if I wanted to do it. And I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. The price point that comes to my mind as a price point that's enough to get people invested, because I do believe that. I fucking believe it so much that if you just get something for free, you don't really value it as much and you don't really take it as seriously. Um, when I was 17, 18, I was spending all my money on courses. I had like 3 grand in my bank account. I was like, fuck it. Okay, I'm going to spend all this money on Tai Lopez and pray that it works out. And I took that shit seriously because of it. I was like, that was my life. I just donated everything basically. But the price point that I feel is sort of the lowest you could make it while having that buy-in is around $1,000. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on that. Do you feel that that is true? Do you feel like that's too high, too low, or something of the nature if agency birth was to become a reality?
I would certainly pay that. I would even go like I so for I love the part where you said also it comes with the I mean it comes with the charity. So for me like if I would kind of if it would be like it's this is the if it comes with the if this and if I understand it correctly this goes into the charity then this money.
That's the idea. I'm feeling that it would go to the nonprofit.
That's also what I felt and I think
Yeah.
I mean that's for me. For me this is like something where I would be like like
Yeah. It's also a tax write-off for anybody who wants the benefits of writing off the taxes. They're really not as expensive as they would.
No, but it's actually it's that's a and that this these these talks that we have, these are the talks I love. You know,
Ah,
because
yeah.
I had them so like these, when you just when you're brainstorming, this is what I love, This I think yeah, I would do it.
Ah. Well, that's inspiring. That's super inspiring. But the what do you think about the price point? Like low, high? What's your initial reaction when you hear that?
Like at first I like the really like the part with the like you give what you feel is right.
Yeah.
Because so it for me, I could, I would be like I would buy, I would pay you the money right now if you would want to do it.
Yeah.
For the 1,000 euros or 2,000 euros would be something that where I would be like a bit considering, but 1,000 euros is totally clear for me. But if for somebody who's really starting out, who is like at zero, I think the part is cool where you're like, so because the part is cool where you can give what you kind of because you're starting at zero, it really depends where you can just join in and then you give what you feel it's worth. So but still to really have people in the community that are not like make money quick or that are like so I think with you, why I would also like being with you is because it would be a community where I would feel comfortable,
Yeah.
where you have like deep people and still people also that are thinking about kind of also so it's like both worlds.
Well, yeah. That would definitely be the community and the culture. The culture is super important for me. If I feel that someone is just a money hungry monster, I'm just gonna be like, hey man, I don't think you're a good fit. I love you. Um, but if the spirituality and the mindset stuff doesn't feel extremely important to you, I don't think you're gonna be the best fit. Um, and that would be the other element is I would personally want to talk to everybody before they join. I wouldn't want to just say, here's the landing page, you can buy it.
Yeah.
I would, because I also want to enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I think culture is super important in the community.
I feel this could be this would be the first program I would really join and that I would enjoy also and where like the not even if you don't do it, just thinking about it just is like something that I really enjoy. And I really like the part with the nonprofit because I feel this could be for you for the nonprofit a cool thing because it also sustains the nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
And it's also something where if you are I think this shows that if you're willing to So because, for example, um I also so I'm part of a charity. I'm going to in January to India, for example, because we help um so Angela, the mother from Michael from the Lamborghini, she has a charity in India, and they now bought a house, and she's helping like women in India in Anand, because it's crazy, it's and she wants to give them like the confidence, and she's also a very spiritual woman. I mean, you can hear it from my name, Angela, and she's very connected to the angels. And when so I'm part of it, and I also donate, and I also don't have so much money, right? My living costs and everything, blah blah blah. But I also donate. Or last week or this week, it was this week. I donated to Paul Roscoe, this guy in Amazon rainforest, because I just enjoy it, and it's like you have these kind of things where just like send, it's like because that you can just give it, and it's something that for me, that's just a cool thing. Like it just shows that the people that come in are like on the same road, right?
Yeah, I feel that. It's really beautiful that you have that within you. It's a very rare thing. Unfortunately, it's a very rare thing. We're
Which,
working in a world where it's more common, but it's really beautiful to see that in you.
yeah, but I think that's really cool with the agency birth when you could fund Satori School with that, with it just makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think it does. There was somebody we did a you missed the last live call in Agency Enlightened, but there was two people on that call, one of which who is super familiar with the work of Hawkins. He actually also mentioned ACIM. I'm pretty sure he also brought up ACIM. And he said he has always really enjoyed my content throughout the years because of the spirituality element that he felt present in it. And that he really wishes that there was a business mastermind that existed that was rooted on a spiritual foundation. And he's like, I don't know where that exists, but that's why I love you. And if you end up building a mastermind that's like meditation and business mixed together or some type of like spiritual practice, I would join that. And this call is sort of further emphasizing that that is something that people want, which is really beautiful. So yeah, I think this will be a conversation that we can continue in some fashion through Discord or future calls. I'll think about it, and if you have ideas on it, you can let me know too. But I'm glad I asked you.
Man, the MVP is ready. The MVP is ready to be published.
There's already apparently one customer on this call with me.
There is one willing to pay. No, but yeah, I mean yeah, of course, take all your time.
Tell
It's
me your thoughts on it and how you would structure it. I'm curious to know. I'd love to get feedback on it. I'll think about it. Maybe we could.
what I would do. What I would love to have is, I mean, for me, the mentorship is cool. So us just like talking. So I mean, of course, I don't know your time schedule, but for me, like to have this one call per week or one big call, this just this availability, maybe one call a week is the least. And to just have this availability that it also can, when you see, like you're like a school teacher. I read this one book. It's unfortunately in German, but it was a book. It's a very cool book. It's called the great book, the Children University.
Okay,
And it
cool.
talks, it's relatively old, and it talks about these unis in really cool book. And it talks about these schools in, for example, Sweden or in these kind of countries. And I love this. And they had like what they had, like, for example, these classes. Let's say you weren't good in maths, and then you couldn't keep up with your current class, then you would be put in a separate class with people kind of on your level, and then when you grabbed it up, then you would be put back. And to kind of be able to be like, you could kind of see, for example, I would need more help on the ICP, and you would be like, then you would talk to me, and then we would kind of see us on a spirit, not just like, okay, next week Monday have it figured out, but you would kind of because that's because I also know, yeah, I can sit there but to also have the kind of spiritual thing into it, like to be like, I don't know what you would say then, but to be like,
Yeah. To consider all variables and not just look at it through some business only lens, but to factor in your soul and what you feel most aligned with into the practice of building the business so that you can maximize your levels of happiness and joy along the way.
yeah.
It's a super important thing. And I think a lot of people traditionally, especially different mentors or coaches, they're sort of just narrowing in on how do we get the service market fit and how do we increase MRR. And that's why I called Agency Enlightened because I didn't want it to just be about growing MRR. I wanted it to
Yeah,
also,
because I also would really, how to do it. I could also say, because that's like, I could also, with the ICP, I could also say, experts, you are at, you're at ad spend 10K already a month. You have blah, blah, blah. You have one core. I could also, but I truly, because I know really I could kind of do it, but truly I want to build something really this time because I have my friends. Could really get two Fiverr Pro accounts, but I would really like to build something that's like meaningful to my because I don't need to do it. I could also really say like, uh, okay, I just stop it now, and I would just chill kind of. My mom wouldn't be happy, but I kind of have brand. It just would work out somehow. I don't have the need to. So to have somebody that would be willing to, in that space that we are in, to that would be like crazy, and you would kind of be kind of the teacher in a way, right? You would kind of see, it makes sense. You talk to this guy, or it wouldn't. So just to have this kind of feeling like, and you would introduce certain ideas, but it would for me mostly be through communication.
yeah, I think it's the primary value add of of the entire thing. I agree.
And, and if you would just, if you would just be down to answer, I don't, because I don't want to, because I realized like I don't want to go through a course where it's like some scripted. I saw, you went through this Sam Owens courses. I saw these kind of videos, but I don't want to copy someone else's business model. I want to find mine.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and I think that um courses can be helpful, but having the in person is the most helpful and the most impactful. It's having somebody who can actually listen to you and understand where you're at, because a course is a template, and a template is not custom to your soul's evolution and what you feel called to do in your business. So, um, yeah, in person.
Man, I would love to see that. I would, this would be something that I would like kind of really consider to do or to join, because if you feel like, I could share everything.
Yeah. It just occurred to me maybe it would be something where it's like $1,000 and then maybe it's for like a year, and then every other year afterwards, you can just donate whatever you feel called to donate if you want to continue to participate in the group or the community or something, you know, something of that nature. I don't know.
I mean, I think, of course, it has to depend, but I mean, I think everybody that joins has to understand Satori school, what you described, for
Yeah,
example.
I agree fully. I like
So
that.
they kind of should be members of it. Uh, Maybe it depends on how you want to structure it, but not members, but you should be like, I mean, if I'm at 10K MRR, or you know what I mean, or whatever, or I'm at 20, and we see it going. It should also kind of be to, it of course depends, but there is of course then going to be transactions happening, I think.
I agree. Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about how to merge those two. This is so funny. This is hilarious. But I agree. I think that people have to have an awareness on what Satori School is about because it would be a big part of whatever this would be about, you know, because it's really merging all of what Satori School is about with all of what Agency Enlightened was about into one. house, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it also kind of maybe depends also. So I wouldn't like it to be maybe it really depends, but I it's also interesting to see then the progress going with Satori School happening in the meantime,
Yeah.
right? To to just have open space to share things
Yeah.
where it's like but still focused on the on this aspect, but where you are kind of and for me it wouldn't, you know, for me it would need nothing more than just like this one call a week or so, or just writing in Discord. And you know, then
Yeah.
you would just be like, you know, it would just be me here, and you would be like, you know, we would be talking about those videos, and then would be like, you know, you would just share your screen, and you would be like, for example, this is a video, and it's not edited. This is the style of the edit, and blah blah. And that would be it, you know. Or you would have a drawing board or whatever, you know, just so lean. I don't
Yeah.
want any fancy presentations. I want authenticity. I want realness. Yeah.
I love that. I feel that. I feel like I'd love to do ACAM as part of it. I love ACAM. I think it's an incredible foundation. Um, I've been part of an ACIM group for like 6 years. It's this one guy. He's a really good friend of mine. He's my personal trainer for a few years, and he just sends it every day into a group chat of the lesson of the day. So like it would probably just go into the Discord. Could also be like stand-ups, but that's a bigger commitment, you know, maybe like an open call every day at a certain time, and whoever wants to join can join. Otherwise, it's also in Discord. But yeah, I think there are so many exciting components that could be added into it that would be extraordinarily helpful, far beyond what you would get from just a standard business course.
Truly, yeah. I mean, it would be really interesting if it would be with merged together with A Course in Miracles. That would be kind of like, you know, I just what what I like personally, I love freedom. I know my spirit animal is an eagle. You know, I need freedom. I need space. So I cannot give myself too many boundaries.
Yeah,
So I like. So what I also always like is when people do things. You know, you do things kind of naturally. You see they fit. They, you know, it's not no control from this side. It's like
yeah. It's like
um hmm?
it's like nature.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just natural.
But this would be, you know, I just with A Course in Miracles also there's in Germany there is some people and these kind of things, but I've not. I was once at one group and they told me like crazy. They one in my city and they told me like stories. They man they hadn't understood it. Bro bro
Uh,
bro
oh, that's funny, bro. That's
bro.
fucking
When
hell.
you like, you know, they did not get it, and I was, it took me completely apart. They told me
That's
like,
funny.
they told me like stories and like conspiracy theories, crazy, and I was, you know, and I was then a bit believing them, and it was really shit.
Oh God. Yeah, you got to be careful about the group.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well, dude, this was so beautiful. I'm really grateful that I came on with you and had the opportunity to connect with you. It's really special. So thank you for having me and for making this happen and for reaching out. It's because of you that this has taken place. So
yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time and also for answering and
yeah.
for doing all those videos that you did,
Oh,
for doing everything you did, man. I'm really grateful. It's absolutely insane that I mean we are just talking, right? Uh,
yeah, it is. It goes by quick. 2 hours.
yeah.
Like when you're in a flow with somebody.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's coming, what we just stay in touch and we see what the universe is providing and I root for it or however you call it.
Likewise, brother. Keep me posted. Tell me if you have any ideas. We're friends on Discord, right? So
We are.
message. And tell me when the video goes live, and I'll push it out to the channel. If you want, what you can do, well, I guess I'll be the one with the recording, so I'll send you the recording. And when you publish it, let me know, and I'll chop this up into some beautiful shorts. I love Opus Clip. It's an incredible AI tool
Ah,
for doing shorts. I'll just run it in there and make a few shorts out of it and promote it, and then link your video in it.
that-
So
that'd be really amazing. Is it fine for you theoretically? I would kind of leave it almost uncut because I like to have the raw thing in it. Is it
you know,
fine?
I'll send you the raw thing 100%. Yeah.
Because
I was
I
I was
like.
just
Hmm? You first.
I was just saying I could cut it up into some shorts
Yeah, yeah, no,
and
that's fine. The shorts is
cut
fine.
trailers to the movie, publish them on Taylor Benterud channel, and link it to your video. So when you put the raw video out, then I'll make some trailers to the movies that may pull in some more viewers.
Uh,
That's the concept that we use for Satori School. I don't know if you've seen Satori School and what we're doing with it, but it's really 3 hour, 2 hour long podcast episodes. And then we try to make 3 to 6 shorts for every episode. And those shorts are just like little trailers to the movies that link to the main thread if people want to watch the whole thing. It works really well for driving more awareness.
it's true. Yeah, I saw some of it. I I cannot say more, man. I'm incredibly grateful to have found somebody who is like you. I I've never thought that today this is what's going to happen, you know?
It happened. You know, the Lord says, knock and the ask and you shall receive, and you asked and you have received. So it is like that.
Thank you so much, and I wish you we hear from each other. But I wish you still a great day or evening, whatever it is.
Hey,
Awesome.
brother. Likewise. Have a beautiful rest of your week, dude.
You too, man. You too. And greetings to your girlfriend, and enjoy the walk with your dog. Enjoy it really. Give him a little cuddle from me.
Oh. I will. Love you, dude. Have a great day.
You too.